Hi there, everybody. Pat Windrow speaking at the Cable Easel once again with my program from Painting and Drawing from Life. And what is happening here, instead of bringing a setup here, I'm going to do a frozen frame from a taping that was done in the harbor of these mallard ducks. And that's a technique that you can do. You can go out and shoot whatever animal you care to. It doesn't matter which it is, whatever. Some people like to paint horses. And it's a golden opportunity to take a videotape of horses and to freeze the frame. That's what is happening here. And this little pair of ducks, I think, is a rather cute composition. I think that painting animals has always had an appeal, and the nice part about these is that they are isolated in a very plain background environment, and that means that the simplicity with which you can render these is obvious. All you have to do is to hopefully get the resemblance, and then you have yourself a somewhat wildlife composition in a very simple format. The flying birds is always done either. You can do flying birds this way very easily, and flying birds, of course, have always been a problem because they never really look like they're flying. People kind of try to observe them. Leonardo da Vinci is the only one that was able to get out there and draw a flying object, and apparently that's how we have the design of an airplane today. But flying birds are a problem, obviously, because they move so fast. So a videotape of these flying birds is probably a very good idea. But I think that the reflection in the water of these of ducks has always been appealing to just about anybody who loves this kind of a painting. And so this is going to be a single effort to try to do this all in one session. And the title of this, of course, is Ducks. The need to make sure that you have room for the reflection has kind of messed that up. The need for the reflection I don't have to stick to the line that I drew around here. I can put that reflection in here, and it's rather interesting to see the play of the object in the water. So if I decide that I'm going to go down past my designated line of painting, then so be it. Then I'll do it that way. But the reflections are great. Here they're interrupted with the surface floating straws, which are visible on just about all the beaches around here now because it's winter time, and they have come up in the heavy weathers. But this is the way I would approach the painting. I'm going to do it in a palette knife technique, and I'm going to try to capture that wondrous green of ducks' heads by mixing what is with phthalo green and some sap green and some white, and see if I can capture. Well, of course, there's an awful lot of yellow in that green, and here we have the green is the point to get, because they are absolutely remarkably wonderful looking colors. Let me see whether or not I think I should put probably the darker green on first. And here it goes. It's a combination of sap green and phthalo blue. Let me see whether or not I can. The water can go on at any time, but the point is to get this, to get the heads of these wonderful mallard ducks. And we have certainly an abundance of them here in the North Shore of Long Island, as well as in the South Shore. But particularly at this time of year, they are taking refuge from the winter winds. and they're visible just about everywhere. They are also very tame. They don't care if you approach them. They will eat just about anything you happen to throw in the water, and they live in nice symbiotic arrangements with gulls. So they are everywhere down by the water. The appeal of animal paintings is always present. Many times, I mean, if I do a painting of an animal, the chances are I have sold it before I've even framed it. So there you have it. People just love to have their homes and their lives with portraits of these creatures. So that's why I'm sort of picked on this. And besides that, it was very appealing from a scene that we had shot down in Setauket Harbor. And the ducks are by literally by the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And when they all congregate towards the shore, expecting a handout, then be sure to be ready for that, because they're really fascinating to watch. And little children just have the best time. Going out and feeding the ducks in places like Stony Brook Harbor, I mean the Stony Brook Mill Pond, and at the harbors, and wherever else on Long Island, ducks, I think the Connecticut River has got a rather nice bunch of them. So duck feeding is always one of the very favorite pastimes in areas where there's water. And that's us. We are certainly gifted here with the wonderful areas of water. Let's see if I can find the right kind of yellow for the tops of these ducks' heads, and see if I can make those shine the way I ought to. Yeah, sometimes these colors are well, they're tricky, but that's why you try these things and see whether or not you can pull it off. There is an iridescence about these ducks' heads, which sometimes comes only when you buy the manufactured colors of chemical tones. And I have been saying for years, do never use phthalo green. It's a dangerous color, but phthalo green is the only one that can manage to work on the colors of nature, such as these ducks and flowers and other birds. So phthalo green has its place, and I think his place is right here. There is a wonderful shiny quality to these ducks in the bright sunshine, and of course that's one of the intrigues about doing these. When the spring comes, of course, the females are far more obvious in the environment than the males are, because they're out laying their clutches, as it were, and the males appear only when they absolutely have to. So the winter time is a lovely time to try and catch these animals at rest, because they are neither mating nor are they migrating. They are just sort of hanging out, waiting for the spring. And hanging out is what one tends to do at the harbors at this time of year, and watch all this wonderful wildlife, which is not yet in danger, apparently, here in our area. Fortunately, somehow we have been spared the business of seeing these creatures. And when you see these creatures, you often say to yourself, the environmentalists are right, let's save as many species as we possibly can. They're just too wonderful to look at, to allow them to disappear. And when I see the oil spills taking place, and all these young volunteers going out there and rescuing these poor things that have been oil laden, you realize that there is something to the effort. Wouldn't it be a pity to not have these species around for as long as possible? So the business of getting out and observing these animals, I think, is vital, because you learn a great deal about their habits, and you also learn which ones are going to cooperate. These cooperate. They're continuously hungry, of course, even though we have a rather rich environment with the marshes and so on, where they get the main part of their sustenance, but they are continuously hungry, and they're also extremely tame. So they have found out that if they behave themselves, they can get all sorts of goodies. I mean, I saw a McDonald's chicken McNugget dish that obviously had been taken down there to feed the ducks. Even they can't escape the fast food industry, and they don't seem to be suffering from it, nor do we. So whenever you have a moment, do if you can go down and pay attention. You'll also see swans. The swans do not migrate. There is an area in the North Shore here, as well as in the South Shore, where the Canada geese congregate as they are heading their way either north or south. Yesterday I saw a rather enormous flock of Canada geese heading north, and I thought to myself, somebody has given them the wrong message. It's too soon. You can wait a few more weeks before you start heading north, but there they were, gaggling their way across the sky in remarkable numbers. There must have been thousands of them yesterday afternoon, and I was really delighted to see that that our island here is actually a run in the migrating path of these, the migrating path of these Canada geese. We've known that for a long time, but boy, when you see that many of them, you realize that we are in fact a vital spot here. On Long Island for the migrating birds. We have been for many, many centuries, and let's hope that we can preserve this so that they will still have places to land and rest on their enormous journeys, which are really hard to comprehend how these creatures do it. There's a lot of black in the shadows of these ducks, but for the most part you will find that the little eyes are so small that you cannot see them, but there is a highlight here underneath this little eye, which may give it the look that it's has something more than just a black spot. I think that the nature studies that are taking place worldwide with the advent of the oil spills and the tremendous numbers of people who are interested in the preservation of all of these species is very encouraging. And I think the Nature Conservancy, which we work with hand in hand once a year with the Art for Open Lands, is doing a remarkable thing to make people not only aware, but also to enlist the volunteering help to preserve these habitats. We have a natural habitat right here on Long Island, the Carmen's River on the South Shore, all the harbors on the North Shore, the enormous stretches of beaches down along in the eastern end of Long Island, where the airports have not come and infiltrated, as it were, yet, and also the little streams and hidden places in the marshes are what are to be really paid attention to, and with great care, I think, to be preserved at all costs. Children will gravitate towards being taken to see animals long before they'll gravitate towards being taken to the mall. I have a feeling that if choice were given to just about any average child up to a certain age, which would you rather do? Go and feed the ducks at the pond or go to the mall? I think that the answer is probably obvious. So let's see if we can't possibly enhance that whole attitude about preserving these places. It's not just the animals that are in danger, but it's their habitats. And if the habitats get taken away, zip goes the animals. Off they are. No more. That's it. Zero. So we have it, I think, and artists have it in their ability to, the electronic medium can freeze these creatures in their positions, but paintings are something that you live with. You do not live with a frozen image on your television screen in your living room. You live with paintings and prints or even textiles that have used animals as their motifs. And so we are obviously drawn through our mutual heritage and ancestry with animals to these creatures, and we have certainly a responsibility to make sure that they do not disappear forever. Pardon me, from the face of the earth. And we do that with these oil tankers that don't have double hulls. It came as a shock to me that all the tankers do not have double hulls. I thought that that was a a requirement a few years ago after the Exxon Valdez thing that every one of those tankers has double hulls, and what happened in Scotland proves to you that double hulls are not the order of the day as yet. So how about it, everybody? Let's get the double hulls on those things and stop these incredible, disastrous ecological attacks on the environment. I may be able to, I would like to be able to do enough on this composition of these ducks to be able to, so I may have to take a little bit longer than just one program. I have a feeling that maybe I can't possibly knock this off, but if I can, then so be it. If I really got what you call a hot palette knife, I can do this study for you very, very rapidly, and then refine it as time will allow later, and then as you know, all these paintings are available for sale at the Art for Open Lands, and if there are duck lovers, then I can have a nice study of these Long Island mallards. Of course, mallards are everywhere. And on that note, I'm going to take a very short break and check out my supply of colors, and I'll be right back. So don't go too far away. Back to the ducks, and possibly the final conclusion of this composition of these lovely little mallards that live with us so gently and so nicely during the entire year. These guys don't leave. They can take it. They hang out and they spend the winter with us. So I find that that's a sort of a remarkable thing, because birds are subjected to being out of doors all the time. They have no nests, but they do have nests. They build little places, or they hide in marshes and so forth. So they are able to protect themselves from what proves to be this year a rather severe winter. I think that we're getting a taste of what we didn't get last year. The winter last year was sort of mild and unobtrusive, but this year I think we're getting our share of winter time, which in many cases is very exciting. And we can take it if the meteorologists predict heavy snows and then they don't come. That's okay. We can roll with that punch. A lot of disappointment, however, because snow is one of the things that people find so intriguing about living in a climate where you do have this variety. I'm going to probably just use this 1/2 hour to show you this is how you go about it. A finished painting is not the point of some of these demonstrations, because if it was the point, I would have to take 6 hours of airtime to do what I would call a finished painting. So this is really a demonstration of how you would go about recording the wildlife around here, or any of the scenes that I have chosen to do over the years, and to show you how to go about it. A finished work is actually not possible, and not really too interesting to do. You'd have to spend too long at it. A finished work is takes more than a half an hour or more than an hour of throwing paint on. What I do is a demonstration, and I hope that everybody understands that. If I do happen to get a finished painting out of it, or something that can pass as a finished painting, that's great. That's all a bonus. But if I just spend the next whatever time is left on this half hour to show you how I go about this, then it is then I've made the point of how you too can go ahead and work with your monitor and work with your own television set and your recorder, and then set yourself up and turn your living room into something of a studio for a short period of time. And I think that you'll find yourself really able to use your television for a little bit more than just sitting in front of the tube and being entertained. Use it as a tool to entertain yourself and to also gain a little bit of knowledge that you otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to have. I find that the use of this monitor is not just unique, but it's unique to the business of having these programs that are instructing painting and drawing on the air. Most of the time, what you see are people copying another picture. They're copying a photograph, or they're copying something else, or they're doing it out of their imagination, and I do not find that is either plausible or valid, because I don't know how many people in the world have got instant recall or can recall the details of any given object or thing or place by memory. I just don't believe that that's a gift that we have been given. So for the most part, it's imagination, and it's unobserved. If it's unobserved, then it does not have much to do with the challenge of translating the dimensions. And when it is unobserved, then there are mistakes in it, and there is also a lack of drama, a lack of interest, a lack of personal approach to how you do a painting. So I've been talking about this for a very long time, and my little program here has, we won an ACE Award. We've had 2 nominations, and the time is coming to submit another set of all of the things that go on here at the local origination station. And Channel 6 has done very nicely by itself, which is now apparently referred to as Channel 1. I will get it straight sometime, but there's no guarantee of that either. I'm going to be going back to my habitat in Virginia, where we have a different variety of wildlife. We have a rather huge population of deer where I live, and there are also cougar and bear. And when you go and take your visitors, which is what I usually try to do, up to the Skyline Drive, you can see a herd of possibly anywhere from 9 to 15 individual deer. I'm planning to do a couple of studies of that. And then the bear I have not seen, but I know a friend who has a bear that visits his farm on a daily basis looking for handouts. There is also a wonderful population of birds. Turkeys fly about rather often in view, and all of this is because the area of the mountains is less able to be popularized. Habitats. People don't go and live in mountains. It is simply not being done anymore. Livings are earned in cities and not in mountains. So the mountains are a wilder area than this, and in many instances just as beautiful. A different drama is involved, and a different attitude about things in general there in the area which I'm living in northern Virginia, right in on the edge of the Shenandoah National Forest. I have a gallery in Front Royal, Virginia, to which all people who watch my program are invited to come and visit and see me. And I think that there is going to be an event on the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th of February, organized by me, called a Winter Carnival. And that Winter Carnival is going to be all sorts of winter activities taking place right in the town. So if anybody really has the desire to go chase winter, you can find a rather aesthetically pleasing area in northern Virginia, just a little bit west of Washington, D.C. So that is a sort of an open invitation to anybody who decides that they want to chase winter. We used to do that quite often when we lived in Manhattan, and we used to say, okay, we'll head out into Pennsylvania and see if we can find some winter time, and we always did. It's about a 5.5 or 6 hour drive from Long Island, and the I-81 goes directly into Front Royal, Virginia, which is one of these enormous superhighways, and then you will run into those mountain formations, the Blue Ridge, which are the oldest mountains. The mountains of the Blue Ridge are older than the Atlantic Ocean, which is a statement I find very, very hard to comprehend, but nevertheless, that is the claim, that when the plate tectonics people found out that Pangaea, which was the name of this particular continent, was not like it is at all, and that the Atlantic Ocean, that the mountains were here before the Atlantic Ocean closed in onto the eastern seaboard the way it did. So there you have it. Mountains older than the Atlantic Ocean, something of an amazing statement, but that's what they are. And on those mountains are still extremely rugged places. And I find that I've been painting the mountains a great deal. One of these days I'll bring some of my little collection of mountain paintings up for you to see whether or not I can handle mountains the way I handle the water scenes. And obviously what I'm doing now is merely a fill-in of the background. But if I do it down here, then I can show you how I eliminated my guideline for the painting. I was going to do it a little bit narrower, but as I say, one is able to create as you go along. And here's the way I would probably handle a reflection in the water, by pulling a palette knife full of color across the painted area of the duck's reflection, and this is called impressionism, and it's really a really intriguing way of painting, to pull these tones across the darker tone to get the illusion of a reflection, is one of the reasons that I find the palette knife such an interesting technique. So in a half an hour I have sort of demonstrated to you how to go about doing possibly one of the more favorite subject matters for people who like wildlife and animal paintings, which is an art in itself. There's also nothing more irritating than a bad animal painting. And so, with the ability to tap into the technology of a camcorder, people who have been thinking for years and years, I wish I could paint animals, you've got it. I'm telling you the way you can do it. So, here we have, this will all be refined eventually. In the meantime, oh, I have one more. Okay, I have a wonderful signal system here in the deep shadows of this studio. I see a finger come up, telling me 1 minute is left, because I think that looking at my watch would distract me terribly. So the cue maker is the one that tells me how far I can go and how fast I have to start and get out of here. Anyway, here is the general way to approach this water. This can probably be a little bit more refined, a little bit more believable. And then the application of the straw, which is, let me see if I can pull this off and make this look a little bit more believable. Yeah, that's better. The straw that is lying on the surface of the water is not necessary. If we don't like the straw on the surface of the water, we don't have to put it on. This is all in the process of creating what you want to see. The straw might be a little bit hard to pull off and to make believable, so maybe I just eliminate the straw floating on the water. The reflections are the things which are interesting when you have paintings of waterfowl. So of course all of the blue would be applied here. And in the meantime, I hope that you enjoyed this quick little session. We usually do it in 2 parts, but this time I thought I would just, because time doesn't allow, I thought that I would just try to pull this off in a half an hour to give you some feeling of how one can try with concentration. And even though I talk an awful lot, I'm concentrating a good deal most of the time to do these half-hour studies. Hope you liked it. Don't forget to tune in whenever you can. The Cable Easel is on more often than I even know, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And so if you have your schedule, tune in whenever you can. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.